All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome again to our Make Your Mark webinar. I'm your host, Michael Carabio, and today we're going to be diving into a topic that's crucial for anyone in our industry, especially if you're a real estate agent. We're going to really focus on if you are a realtor. And so whether you're just starting out or you've been in the real estate industry for many years, a lot of times we might not even realize that there are some legal pitfalls out there, things that we're basically doing and might not even entirely know that it's above board, or just because we didn't have the information at our fingertips. And so that's something that Dan and I were just discussing. Dan, I'm bringing on Dan today, Dan Barberkoff. He's an experienced attorney who specializes in real estate law, and maybe he could dive in a little bit more to shed some more light on exactly what he does. But there are some potential pitfalls that you can fall into today or in our current market, and Dan's going to help us navigate that confidently. So, Dan, before we jump into our presentation today, could you please introduce yourself a little bit? Let everyone know how long you've been practicing and what has got you into the real estate industry.
Sure. So thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. So I've been practicing in the real estate law sphere for about 20 to 25 years. The last 20 years has been exclusively in real estate, dealing with litigation, compliance, RESPA, uh, post-closing issues, title and underwriting, risk mitigation. So basically, pretty much all the ins and outs of both commercial and residential real estate in the Arizona area. I got into title and escrow in 2005. And just really enjoyed it. Most people in our industry kind of fall into it. It's not something they choose. It just kind of they know someone. In my case, someone brought something up on an airplane. I said, "Wow, that sounds interesting." Uh, you know, uh, so you get involved in this, and what we're going to go through today is some of the real challenges that you're going to start to see. A lot of challenges will arise when you get into trickier economies. So while these things have festered and there have been lawsuits, and we're going to go over some of those today, you're going to see some of these things more prevalent and things that apply to you, things that you may not get from your CE classes, and
Mhm.
even the NAR hotline. A lot of people will say, well, I call NAR. Well, understand who the client is for the hotline. It's not you.
Right.
It is the NAR. Pardon me, AAR. Pardon me. So their answers are going to be geared towards AAR, not towards you. Let me step up 1 second, okay? Give me 1 second. I apologize. Sweetheart, I'm fixing the class.
Thank you guys for being on this call today. I know tomorrow's Thanksgiving, and so we were expecting a small attendance, but I know Dan's going to be providing a lot of important information for you guys. Go ahead, Dan. I was just going to
Oh,
chime
sure.
in while you're away.
So, what does that mean for you when I say that AAR is the client? At the end of the day, attorneys cannot give tailored advice to someone that goes against their client. So, when you call an attorney, if it's your call to that attorney and it's not sponsored by someone else, that advice is going to be tailored to your risk, what happens to you, and for your best interest.
Right.
Okay. If I call the hotline, it's nothing against the hotline. But if the advice would help me and hurt AAR in any way, I can't give that advice because you're not paying my bill. So that's something to keep in mind. It's not to scare you, but it's to tell you if you really have a deep question, you really want to make sure you're calling somebody or talking to someone that is actually giving you advice that solely protects you. And so the reason why I share that today is some of the issues that I'm going to bring up are things that concern you directly as an agent and stuff that you may or may not have questions on.
Mm.
Okay. So with that, I'm going to get started unless there's some questions. And please keep in mind at the end, Michael can provide my contact information, and there's no fee associated with that. It's part of an extension of Landmark Title. So if you guys have questions, your clients have questions, you can always call me. The number he gives out will be my mobile number, and we're here as a resource to you. Okay?
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, before you get started, I just want to say we were kind of talking about this on when we first got on the call. Um, I think in our industry, like in Phoenix, like the only time we're gonna ever uh, relearn some of the legalities in our real estate practice is going to come from our CE classes. And I think guilty as charged, a lot of these, renewal courses are just for us so that we can stay in keeping our licensing. And so, the reason why I wanted to bring Dan on here today is because it is awesome to have this type of connection to an attorney. If you ever have any questions or if you have any type of doubt that you are, doing something that you're uncertain about, for whether you're, under contract or whatever the case is. I mean, Dan is such a great resource to have. So I'll make sure that we get everyone Dan's contact information. I'll be sharing that, and then I'll share my information if you want his contact. Right away, just reach out to me, and then we'll go ahead and get that over to you. But Dan, go ahead, share your presentation. I appreciate it.
Sure. Okay. So the first one is, and it requires honesty from an agent, is you get a buyer, you get under contract, and everyone's excited. Okay. So, escrow is opened, you're ready to go. And generally, the first thing someone says to a buyer is, we need to get your home inspection scheduled. Sounds pretty innocuous, right? And you ask, do you have an inspector? If not, I can give you a few of them. And you give out your three home inspectors, and everyone, the ball's rolling until it's not. Okay, let's go over a few things. One, the contract, while it talks about home inspection, the general thing there is called due diligence. And so a lot of people say, well, what's the difference? The difference is what the home inspection does do and what it doesn't do. Within the home inspection, there's a disclaimer that basically says to many of them that they're not an expert in any one thing. They have general knowledge. And they also cap their liability at the cost of the home inspection, which is $400, $500, whatever that costs. Okay, so where's the liability there? The liability there is most major repairs are more than $400 or $500. Well, how does that liability turn on the real estate agent? How it turns on the agent is this. Did you go over what due diligence is and what type of inspection someone should have beyond a general home inspection? Did you go over having an AC person come out? Did you go over have a roofing expert come out? A plumber, foundation, all of these things. And generally the pushback I get from agents is, well, you don't know what the cost, like that's a lot of money. It's not about the money and it's not whether the person does it. It comes down to what is your recommendation? Did you recommend these types of inspections? Because think about this, in the beginning, we are all friends. But when these issues arise, the fingers get pointed. Does someone want to do a $5,000 roof repair? No, they're going to blame the home inspector, the real estate agent, their next door neighbor, anyone they can find to say, it is your fault. So I talk with agents and simply say, like many people will have a waiver for a home inspection if they don't want to have one because they're used to protecting themselves. Why would you not expand that waiver to the other inspections, which simply state, my agent went over these things with me and I'm choosing not to do them, and explaining to them what the risk is. Because the risk, and I understand that everyone is on a budget, but the risk outweighs the cost when issues arise, especially if you don't even bring it up.
Right.
Okay. There are currently at least 10 lawsuits going on right now about these very issues in Maricopa County because they're real. And generally, I'm the worst attorney there is. I hate lawsuits. And people say, but that's how you make money. And I said, I get it. That doesn't mean I like them. But the reality is, the and the claim is the agent never explained the risk. They never explained that the home inspection does not warrant these items. It's just a general inspection. And they never recommended that they have these individualized inspections.
Right.
Okay. So, what do I tell agents to do? One, why not talk to some people who specialize in these things, roofers, AC, stuff like this? Because here's the thing, if someone does the inspection, who are they most likely going to use for service moving forward? Is that very inspector? So oftentimes you can negotiate down what the cost of inspection would be because you're building a relationship between them and your client. So sometimes even the price of these things can then become more attractive to a buyer on a budget. Okay. The other question people ask me is, well, why do I get blamed? Okay, there's two reasons why it falls back on the real estate agent. One is your role as a fiduciary, which means you have a heightened responsibility and knowledge than a buyer does, even if that buyer has bought and sold 20, 30 homes. And you have an obligation to understand the contract. Okay, many of you have taken CE classes on real estate contracts, so you understand what due diligence is and isn't, and you have an obligation to cover that with your client. So those two failures are why you get named. It doesn't make it right, it just means that you get named. And when I talk to agents about this, many of them say, well, I do that anyways. Okay. I probably bought and sold 7 homes, which isn't a lot, but I can tell you from my experience, I have never once had an agent recommend that to me. I've done it because I know, but when they're going over the contract as a buyer, they've never asked me that question. I've said, hey, I'm going to have these inspections. Is this a good day for someone to come out? So either I'm choosing the wrong agents or it really is as widespread as it seems. Because when I say there's 7 active lawsuits right now, that doesn't mean how many there have been in total, how many have been settled, how many have gone to judgment. That just means going on right now. That's what's going on. Are there any questions so far on this?
On my end, there aren't any questions.
Okay, perfect. Okay, the next one we're going to go over is E&O coverage. And that sounds really exciting. But one of the things you have to understand is what does it cover and what doesn't it? Most of us, when we take a listing, we're often asked to do things for a seller, minor things around the home to get the home ready for listing. And that could be doing some minor touch up or handyman work, that could be general cleaning work, that could be a variety of different things. And I thought I would share a case that arose. So there was a home that did not have a fence or a block wall in the back, and there was a bike trail. And so what happened is the agent kind of roped off where they thought that the home was done, just to kind of show off what they believed the lot line was. Okay. A bike rider was riding their bike and they hit the rope and got injured. So the agent turned it into his E&O coverage with his brokerage and just thought, okay, what can you do? I was trying to help out the seller and this happened. The E&O coverage denied coverage, or E&O company denied coverage. Does anyone have an idea why?
Wasn't necessarily part of the property, right?
It wasn't that it wasn't a part of the property. Think about it. It's errors and omissions. What that covers with errors and omissions is what they think the normal course and scope of your business is. What
Mm.
is your normal course and scope? It is listing a home. It is, you can make a mistake on forms. You can do a variety of different things. Okay. Your E&O coverage does not assume you're going to play handyman. Okay. So you went outside the scope of what they deemed they were covering. So why I share this story is it's not to tell you not to help your client. But it is to tell you that certain things that you do or don't do may or may not have coverage. And it's not so much that example, but think about if you are hanging a television, if you're painting. I had one where they were on a ladder hanging a television, and part of the stone fireplace fell and injured the worker. Okay. You really want to be careful on maintenance items. I generally tell people, even if you're handy, to refer it out to a handyman. Don't do the work yourself because even if the E&O covers it or something happens, are you going to get blamed more than you're going to be praised? Probably. Okay. Um, I would just have professionals do the work. Keep in mind in Arizona that handyman is only able to do work up to $400. Many handyman will tell you, oh, don't worry about it, whatever. If an injury or something happens, their insurance does not cover them. You really need to know some of these limitations because it falls back on you and your referrals. And in the beginning, you're looking great to your customer until something bad happens. And then when something bad happens, you suddenly look like you're worth nothing. You should have known better. You shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't have done that. So sometimes our help does more harm than good. Okay.
That's good. I know quite a few agents that are pretty handy and they do what they shouldn't be doing, and we have connections to handyman. So like people like what's it called? Um just people that remodel kitchens or just do things, the little jobs, and we have connections to that. So if anyone needs that phone number, I can always give that to them as well.
And think about the work you do. If a buyer asks any questions, they're going to ask who did the work. And the last thing the buyer wants to see is a real estate agent did the work because then they're going to say, okay, we want this redone by someone with a license.
Right,
Okay. So think about even if you do it right, sometimes it has to still be done twice. And then the client's asking, why do I have to do it again if you did it?
right.
So you're just better off leaving this to a professional. Okay.
That's good.
Lastly, is I call it post closing, but it's pre closing issues. Many real estate agents, when they see a buyer interested in a home, they start smiling and they kind of keep quiet. And if the buyer likes the home, they write the contract and they just say, this is good. Okay. What do I mean by that? Sometimes you may see some issues with a home. You may see some issues just in terms of value and neighborhood and other things within your profession. And oftentimes, agents keep that to themselves. They don't want to take a client that looks like they're happy, may write on a contract, and share some of their expertise with that client. And when the market is consistently going up, oftentimes it's not an issue. But um, when it's not, there are some issues. So let me give you some real examples of this. Okay. At Tatum Ranch, which is right by Desert Ridge, if some of you are familiar with that, there was a home where a buyer was looking at it. When they walked through the kitchen, there was a bunch of fans going, probably 6 to 7 floor fans that were circulating at one time. No one said anything. What was it? They were airing mold out. So post closing, there was about a $40,000 mold remediation bill. Do you really want to get into it with your client? To you, agent, does that seem normal? Do most people have windows open and four floor fans going at one time in one room? Probably not. So again, this became a post-closing issue where the agent was named. People say, okay, well, why was the agent named with the seller? Because they're naming as many people as possible in the hopes of being able to collect. You have an E&O coverage policy, so there's a better chance that you're getting paid out. And keep in mind, insurance works as a loan, okay? So when an insurance policy pays out, basically they will recoup the money they pay out by increases in premiums over 9 years. So when you pay in your dues or whatever you pay into your brokerage, that's going to increase. So even though you may not pay out of pocket, you're still paying at least a percentage of it.
Mm.
Okay. Post-closing issues have been different blights, different things in the inspection. So what does that teach you? It teaches you not to be an expert, but to share your knowledge of your concern. And that concern may just be, let's dig into this deeper. We've had lawsuits that property values did not go up. And someone says, well, I don't guarantee it. Well, it depends on what you say to a buyer. Okay, if you say historically this neighborhood has gone up X, can that be deemed to say that that's a good investment when homes are more and more being treated as commodities versus long-term investments? And now they start to parse your words, okay, and say, what do you think the buyer was asking? If you said this area has gone up at 3 to 5% a year, um, do you not think a buyer could interpret that as your home value will go up 3 to 5%, that particular home, and some kind of warrant or guarantee? So you really want to take seriously what a fiduciary means. A fiduciary is someone with a heightened amount of learning in this particular area that is being utilized to guide and consult with a client. So that goes into investments in a home, that goes into the state of the home, that goes into the neighborhood. You really are being held to be an expert in that area, and you're going to be treated as such. And when you go into a bad economy, the only people that win in bad economies are criminal defense attorneys, morticians, and attorneys. We make money no matter what the economy is doing. And lawsuits go up when people don't feel like things are working their way. Negative equity in a home. Did you tell me that this home is overpriced when I bid on the home? Did you tell me that I don't know if I would give them that value? Did you look at the last sales price? Did you look at why it's appreciated? What's gone into it? These are things that you need to start to learn. And if you don't know, you don't have to know everything, but that's why your partners are so important. Okay. Do you have an attorney on your team that you can talk to or consult with? Who's your title partner that maybe will do some research for you? Okay. We're all only as strong as our teams. Anyone who relies on him or herself for everything is not doing any favors. It's why in bad economies, I get called on to do more and more economic forecasts. I get called on to teach people how to become novices in overall economies, macro and micro, at the high, nationally as well as locally, and teaching them some tools they can utilize to better prepare themselves for those things. Um, Pressing into introductory questions with your clients. What do the school districts look like? What does the neighborhood look like? Not violating fair housing or anything like this, but pulling in generic data that can help them with their investments. Because now homes are no longer looked at as where you raise your family, but as investments. So you're being treated no different than if a stockbroker calls you and says you should invest in IBM. So you're being called on to guide your clients in the same way. And those are things that you have to take seriously.
And just a reminder that we have access to pull those types of that type of information for your clients. If you guys ever need it, reach out to myself or your business development manager, and we can always pull property profiles for that specific property that you're looking at, especially if it's a listing. You definitely can set it up for success by getting that info and then being able to provide it to anyone that walks through the door. It's all pulled from data research and the systems that Landmark purchases. And so we're able to give that to you guys to provide it as a value to your clients that you're working with.
And normally the last 5 minutes or so, and I don't know how many people we have on the call, I kind of open this up to just legal questions. because, as I said, on behalf of Landmark, I want to be a resource to you and your clients. And keep in mind, your clients may call with general legal questions that have nothing to do with real estate, and I'm available to them as well. Consultations have absolutely no fee associated with that. It is just an extension of Landmark and your partnership with Michael or whomever your sales rep might be, or escrow officer at Landmark Title.
I don't know if we'll get a question. Usually it's kind of blank every once in a while, but I do have a question for you, Dan.
Sure, Michael.
This is kind of off topic, and I'm just curious if maybe you can
Okay.
answer it. But um, right now, I see a lot of agents coming to me, and I know what the answer is, but I would love for you to elaborate on it. Agents are getting complimentary marketing from lenders, title companies. Do you know what the fine is to receive when you receive things like that if you were caught? And what are like the rules and regulations around receiving things from a title company?
Sure. So keep in mind, a lot of people may look at the national climate and go, with the CFPB essentially being dismantled, what is the risk? Okay. The risk is you're watching attorney generals, especially in Arizona right now, going after. They have lawsuits going against two companies, not about marketing, but just in general. So you're watching heightened state action. What this means is under RESPA, which the state can do or the federal government, you are not allowed to receive something of value with no cost. Title can provide things that are part of their business and they use for their business, then they don't have to charge you. But if it is something that is not defined as title specific, meaning they need that for their business, not for you, and they don't charge you, okay, you can get hit in two different ways. You can be hit with punitive fines, which could be anywhere in the five figures, depending on how egregious and what type of example. They are not capped, okay, if it's deemed a kickback. Or let's just say it's a one-off, okay? You're probably going to face something in the high, whether that's in the high hundreds or thousands of dollars. It depends on how egregious it is and what they think the harm is there.
Mm.
So the question is, what is the value to you, meaning your sleep? Because all it takes is one person complaining.
Right.
And you have a bullseye. And think about, many of you will look online to see complaints or other things against you. The reputational harm, on average, takes 6 months to a year to rebuild on a single instance of someone saying something negative about you. Um, so it's one of those things that you talk about. There's certain cost of investing in your business. And it's not because I like charging people. It just is because right now, when things get challenging and the market gets tighter, the people with the best reputation are the people who are going to succeed. There are
Right.
plenty of things that can be done at limited to no cost, but when you're taking handouts of things that you know you shouldn't, it honestly just takes someone reporting to DRE. Susan Nicholson really takes those things seriously, or the AG, who really in March filed a lawsuit against a bunch of real estate investors, two title companies. It wasn't marketing; it was elder abuse. But the point being is, all it takes is a hot button topic. And then the other thing that you don't think about too is class action lawsuits, which are picking up. Attorneys are seeing that large real estate brokerages are a great way to get paid. So they may find somebody, and you get swept up into it as a class action.
Right. That's good. Thank you, Dan. No, yeah, as you can hear, Dan is a very knowledgeable man and resource. And so, like I said, we'll be sharing his information. Dan, any last thoughts before we wrap up today?
I would honestly just tell people none of this is designed to scare you.
Right.
There are simple ways. If you need waiver forms on what we talked about with due diligence, I've provided that for people. I will continue to provide that if you'd like that. Um, don't be shy. I use my partners for things that they specialize in. We're here to help you build and help you grow and to be successful. And today was not about to scare you, it was just to give you information to be more successful in your business with requests or different things that you're going to face. So I love getting calls. I love talking with people. If I can be a resource, or Michael or anyone else, please don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. No, we're excited to have you a part of our team over here at Landmark, and thank you for allowing us to use you as a resource as well. Dan will definitely be back on and potentially be doing more CE classes and just things of that nature for 2026. That's some of the things that Dan and I spoke about. But with that being said, I just want to wrap up and just say a huge thank you again for joining us today. I know today is the day before Thanksgiving, so smaller attendance, but with Thanksgiving coming up tomorrow, we just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and let you know how grateful we are for your partnership. We truly value everyone who trusts us with their escrows and supports us throughout the year. And with that being said, just a quick reminder that our offices will be closed for tomorrow on Thanksgiving and also on Good Friday. But of course, feel free to go ahead and write us in on any of your escrows over the long weekend, and we'll make sure to be ready and jump back on it as soon as we return. Once again, thank you so much, and we hope you have a fantastic holiday. Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.